Human, stop arguing, we'll freeze to death. Get in my bed now. The wind howled like a wild animal outside the small spaceship cabin. Snow and ice battered the reinforced glass windows, turning the view into a swirling white storm. Inside, the cabin was almost silent, except for the low hum of the ship's life support systems. Cale stood near the control panel, arms crossed, jaw tight. He stared at the frozen planet outside. I told you, Arya, he said sharply, we should have landed closer to the equator. This storm is insane. We can't survive here long. Arya, leaning against the wall with her arms folded, rolled her eyes. Cale, we've survived worse. You're just being dramatic. Being dramatic? Cale snapped. The temperature is dropping faster than our heat shields can handle. If we stay here another hour, we'll freeze. Arya shook her head, her dark hair whipping around in the artificial wind from the failing ventilation. Cale, calm down. We have thermal suits. We'll manage. Cale turned to her, his eyes wide with fear. Thermal suits won't save us if the core fails. If the heaters go offline, we're done. We'll literally freeze to death. You need to listen to me. Arya sighed, knowing he was right, but also annoyed. Fine, she said, her voice sharp. What do you want me to do? Sit in a corner and panic with you? No! Cale shouted, grabbing her arm gently but firmly. Get in the emergency pod. It has heaters. It'll keep us alive. Arya hesitated. The pod is tiny, she protested. Cale's face softened, but his urgency didn't fade. I don't care. We'll fit. We have no choice. Human, stop arguing, get in my bed now before it's too late. The words sounded strange in the small cabin, almost intimate, almost desperate. Arya's eyes widened. Cale rarely called her human except in serious situations. Before she could answer, a loud crash shook the ship. Warning lights flashed red. The storm outside slammed against the hull, sending a shiver through the metal walls. See? I told you, Cale said, voice low and urgent. We don't have time. Arya blinked. She hated admitting it, but the fear in Cale's eyes was real. And it was contagious. With a frustrated huff, she moved toward the emergency pod. The pod was small, barely enough for one, but Cale had a way of making it work. He helped her inside, then climbed in beside her. It was awkward at first, they barely fit. The heat from the pod immediately started to thaw the icy chill from their bodies. Are you warm? Cale asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Yes, Arya replied, though her cheeks burned not from the cold, but from being pressed close to him. She tried to shift, giving him space, but Cale just pulled her slightly closer. Stay still, he said. If we panic, the pod won't regulate the heat properly. Outside, the storm raged like a living creature, but inside the pod, there were just two humans clinging to survival. The silence stretched for a long moment, broken only by the soft hiss of the heaters. Cale broke it. I was serious, he whispered. I didn't want to scare you, but if we didn't get in here, we'd be dead. I mean it, Arya. Dead. Arya swallowed hard. The truth of his words settled in her chest. I know, she whispered back. They sat like that, close, shivering in the aftermath of fear but slowly warming up, not just from the heaters, but from the human presence beside them. Minutes stretched into tense hours. The storm showed no sign of letting up, but inside the pod, Cale and Arya began to talk quietly. They shared stories of Earth, of missions gone wrong, of childhood memories that seemed distant now. The human instinct to argue had faded. Survival had forced them to set aside pride, ego, and stubbornness. In the strange silence of the storm, they found something simpler: trust. Suddenly, the pod jolted violently. The ship shuddered. Warning, external hull integrity compromised, the AI voice announced. Ice had cracked a panel outside. Cale's grip on Arya tightened. Hold on, he said. We can survive this. Together. Arya nodded, not trusting herself to speak. The pod rocked and shook, their bodies pressed against each other for warmth and stability. The storm outside seemed endless, a frozen beast trying to swallow them whole. Hours passed. Slowly, the temperature began to rise. The pod's heater worked overtime, and the AI managed to stabilize the cabin. Finally, the storm subsided, leaving a quiet, pale dawn behind the ice-encrusted windows. Kale and Arya emerged from the pod, tired but alive. The outside world was a frozen wasteland, glittering in the weak sun. But they had survived. Kale looked at Arya and smiled faintly. "Next time," he said, voice teasing but soft, "maybe just listen to me the first time." Arya laughed, shaking her head. "Maybe," she admitted. Then she paused, looking at the horizon. "Or maybe, we just need to survive together." Kale nodded. They stepped into the snow, facing the frozen planet side by side, knowing that whatever dangers lay ahead, they would face them together. The storm had tested them. It had forced them to abandon argument and embrace survival. And in that frozen silence, something more had begun to thaw: human connection, fragile but undeniable.